What about you, Liam? What should you do with your week?
I play... Okay. There's a story from last week that I forgot last week, and I was killing myself because I needed to tell it.
But you're alive here now.
So, I went to a tea shop to get a teapot.
Was it David's Tea?
No, it was Teavana.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Anyway, I went to Teavana to get a teapot for my girlfriend for a late Christmas gift that didn't pan out because they were sold out pre-Christmas. And I go in, and there's a bunch of people looking at the china and the glass teapots, which is what I want.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for them to get out of the way, and I'm looking at the metal teapots for the green tea and shit. And this guy who works there walks up to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you looking for a teapot?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly."
I am looking for a teapot.
And he says, "Well, these are the metal ones," and he's telling me about them, and I'm like, "I don't want this conversation, but whatever." Because
you came in looking for this.
Just bite your tongue.
One of those 4 glass teapots was going to be mine, and I didn't give a shit about these metal ones.
So you're like, I'll let him do his thing.
And after a minute, I was like, well, I'm actually more interested in the China ones, so I'm going to... And he's like, well, there's benefits to these. Like, this one's got a dragon on it, and that's like...
Oh, yeah.
That is a benefit.
That's a symbol of, power and wealth.
Ryu.
And this one got a bird on it, and he said he's got a bird on it. I
Put a bird on it.
I just sputtered.
Yeah. Put a bird on it.
And he was like, "What are you laughing at?" And I was like, I just want a China teapot."
Yep.
And he's like, "Are you making fun of me?" And I was like, "Look, man, I don't care if there's a bird on it. It's not gonna make a difference. I just want a China teapot." And he walked away really fucking pissed off at me. I went to the cash with my teapot.
Yeah.
And the girl said, like, "Oh, just a sec. I have to go handle something," because another employee called. And that guy walks up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "So you got the China teapot?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Man, these pushy tea peddlers.
So. Here's the backstory to that I know that explains your world.
Bring it on.
My girlfriend's friend got a job working there when they first opened up.
Sick.
And what they
specifically Teavana?
They opened up, and they it's an American business.
Yeah, they're owned by Starbucks, I think.
And they opened up over here, and they had this whole philosophy, which explains part of why fucking Target shut down here in Canada, where they are staunchly American in the way they handle things and the way they train their employees, and they don't change for the way Canada works.
Yeah.
Right? So the one thing
just these little cultural differences.
The biggest thing is they push every employee to upsell everything constantly all the time. And they forced you to. Right?
So let's backstory that concept slightly. Everyone who complains about EB Games and the constant upselling in the States, that doesn't happen out here.
You want disc protection? They do that shit here.
Yeah, but that's it.
Some of it.
But that's it.
They don't ask you if you want a subscription to a magazine after that.
No, they don't ask you if you want the credit card with every single thing.
You're right. It does get worse. It does get worse.
Right? I was in the States recently, and he asked if they wanted the credit card to 5 customers in front of me, and I was like, "Oh my god!
Right?
This is the worst. Like, the interest rate on that
it's more laid back here, customer wise.
Yeah,
considerably.
Anyway,
so we and we don't take well to upselling extensively.
No,
especially if you go in knowing what you want.
Exactly. That's just the way. It's just the way the culture is.
That's just science,
you know. And so the manager who came up from the States was like trying to tell my girlfriend's friend, like, you're not pushing enough when people are coming in and when they're looking for their different tea things. You got to always go straight to the most expensive one and tell them about the benefits of it, and really,
hey honey, you want the gold,
and then come down from there and work your way down from there until you meet them where they want to go on the upsell. And
everyone's got to be a used car salesman.
Yeah. And like he couldn't fucking take it because it was just like even if he was
so disingenuous
because it's like, I'm Canadian, you're Canadian. I'm not trying to do this above the level that we're used to.
Yeah.
But he's standing there going, "Fucking, you're not doing it. You're not doing
do it.
This is the way it works down there. We want to sell it."
How are you gonna hit your numbers?
Yeah.
And if you don't get out there and fucking hustle,
exactly. And 2 weeks later, he fucking left.
Of course.
And him and a bunch of other people that couldn't deal with it were just like, working here is otherwise fine. But the fact that you get pulled into a back and get lectured to, not about your anything you've done bad,
but about how you're not scummy enough.
But you're not scumming it hard enough, and so that place is notorious for that.
And it sucks because their tea is so fucking good.
Yeah, but
it's shit.
But it's that kind of shit that pushes people to Amazon. Like, I'm insane. I admit this, right? Any even somewhat negative customer experience pushes me towards a scenario in which I don't have to deal with people. But other people eventually hit that point too.
I want the pushing that you get in like a Chinatown tea shop, where it's you walk in and they barely acknowledge your existence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Even when you're paying.
Yeah.
They're
Hey.
talking to their husband.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Do
you're
you-
like, am I here? Like,
Do you
can I
guys
just
have?
walk away?
Do you guys have this? And then they swear at you in Chinese, and you're like, I guess not.
Perfect.
Basically.
That's exactly what I want.
I should have known. You're right, ma'am.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's the story with those people, man. But
It's bad,
Funny
like-
that it came from another angle.
And the tea's delicious and the teapot's
Yeah.
fucking great. And
And just to kind of like
Man.
frame it from what I was talking about, like Target shut down here in Canada.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Or-
can we
or rather,
can we
well,
talk
it's-
about that?
It's on the way
going
out.
to be.
It's on the way
It's
out
going
because
to
we
be.
used to have Zellers.
What a bunch of
I'll-
fucking cowards!
I'll tell you some interesting stuff about that after, because, like, you know, my
Yeah,
girlfriend
you're-
used to work
Oh, yeah,
in
and-
HR,
and-
so
and-
she
and
knows
I-
some of this shit.
Well, I was reading about your girlfriend's friend's post about what's going on
Yeah.
there, and like a lot of employees, like not from her thing, but from a public thing, that was like a lot of employees found out they were going to be losing their jobs from like news media,
Yeah.
and fucking articles.
Oh, the
Yeah,
good old
exactly.
Kurt Schilling way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It's, but the problem with the way Target set up shop here, and they it's the kind of store that should be fine because it's like they've got
So we used to have a national chain called Zellers, and Zellers is basically Target.
Canadian
Like,
Target.
Canadian
Good,
Target.
yeah.
but Target
But not as good as American Target, right?
The customer service
straight up,
through the
just
roof,
straight up.
apparently.
And
So they
Zellers
say.
went bankrupt. Straight up bankrupt, and then Target said, "Hey, we're going to expand into Canada."
Target bought the brand and all that they owned from
164,
Hudson Bay
Yeah.
164 empty stores.
And they're like, "Hey, we're going to buy these stores. Let's move in and just straight up just replace Zellers." And they showed up, and they're almost exactly the same, except way worse in
What?
every way. Target is so bad
So the
compared to
problem-
how Zellers
Dude,
was.
it's way better than Zellers.
No.
Do you remember
Okay.
the fucking Alexis Neon Zellers?
Okay, look,
Yeah, I
look,
used to. I used to work in that building.
That was
Look,
the worst.
I used to go to both all the time. Well, now I can't go to Target.
Yeah.
Now Target has shit clothes. This particular Target,
Maybe.
the men's section has nothing, whereas the Zeller section for men's clothes was ginormous. But the food section in this Target is amazing.
It's
You
so
can get
good.
crumpets and
the
cool
food,
things.
The food is pretty good.
And that's
but,
it.
But here's the thing:
And its video game
comparison to
section
the
is
Zellers.
actually decent.
It's all right.
But here's the important thing: Target, as it's supposed to be in its prime, Target Prime is better than Zeller's Prime.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, no contest.
But the problem
Sure.
with when they rolled out here was, one, they had 12 months to get every store up and running.
Which is tough.
And a lot of malls said, if you don't replace it in 12 months, we're going to rent it out to someone else because we don't want to close the store for that long.
Something I know as well that I may as well be public knowledge is that they inherited Zeller's supply chains as well, and
Yeah.
that was one of the issues. Was not good.
no,
And that
the
was-
supply chain is the crippling flaw here.
And
Exactly.
they did not know what was coming to them on the truck every time the truck pulled in.
So I don't know the specifics, but I just know that the supply system
yeah.
that Zellers had was really poor, and they inherited that.
They
exact
inherited that,
thing.
and so trucks would pull up full restocking things they weren't aware of what
Yeah.
was being restocked. And they had a policy where generally the way stores would work is when a shelf is empty, you refill it with the product next to it, and you fill the shelves.
Yeah.
Yep.
You keep the shelves full,
But
stocked.
what if
Right?
there's not enough to even do that?
So the thing was, though, the way Target would work is you never fill in the space for product X with product Y stuff, even if
Yeah.
you have no product X for months.
which
Yeah.
is very
Weird.
like. No, that's a good way of thinking, but when your supply chain
practice.
isn't working, it's not.
What do
gonna
you
help
end up with?
Yeah.
You end up with bare shelves.
So
Yeah.
weeks in, you start walking into Targets in Canada and you see empty shelves and you go, oh, I guess they don't have my thing. And you walk out not doing the impulse buys they were hoping for, returning a month later and they still have nothing and it's even more bare. And like they would restock random things that you weren't looking for.
I'm kind of shocked you have such a negative impression. I found it way better than Zellers.
No, in general, the system should work
so-
better.
Yeah.
But it didn't because they had no stuff on the shelves because it was all sitting in the
Liam,
back.
here's the example that I just went to Target like 2 days ago, and I think it sums up the problem. It is a much nicer store, and I like how the caches are set up,
Yeah.
and generally the selection and stuff and the prices are better. But that doesn't mean anything because when I went in to buy socks, men's socks, the most common item in the world, I had to look for almost 10 minutes to find one pack of socks in my size, and it was the last one, and it was like Saturday morning.
So the people that work
I
there
would have bought more.
Yeah.
The people that
But I
work there
couldn't
are
find
like
more.
also extensively trained into being like helpful and whatnot, and better than like Zellers and all those other stores. But
Sellers customer
it
service
just,
is hilarious.
but it just like
Man, we're getting deep into this.
Well, yeah, but it ultimately
It strikes close to our hearts.
It
Sure, it
just
does.
ultimately didn't matter because they would help you walk to the empty shelf and go, oh, sorry. You know, and if,
every time I went down to buy there, I want to buy a lamp, I want to buy light bulbs, I want to buy socks, I want to buy... Do you remember that fucking podcast that I blew up 10 minutes because I couldn't find gloves?
Scarf, I thought.
A scarf, that's it. That was this fucking Target.
And so the slow, and then and apparently the slow release of employees was called right sizing.
Oh,
That's the term they used. So they would right sized various stores to the point where they had like 4 people covering.
I'm thinking about this, and it's like, this is a problem I never ran into, because I would always go there just to look for like a deal on something.
but that's not how most people actually shop.
And I'm thinking about it, it's like, when I need a light bulb, I'm going to go to Rona. When I need X, I'm going to go to that store, you know? And I would never go there for a general
the reason why I would go there generally is because it's in fucking Alexis Villa.
And you're right, just I would never do that, so I would I would
Now
never
I gotta
get
go
into
down
that
to the
issue.
fucking Walmart to buy socks
Or
next time I
whatever.
need to... Fuck
No,
that!
go to a clothes store.
No, I'll go to Amazon. I don't need fancy socks, man!
Ultimately,
Just go to Old Navy.
Ultimately,
You're
though,
for socks,
You're
man?
at Five Guys 7 times a week.
For
just
socks!
Yeah. No, but they had a problem as well adapting
Fuck
an American
off, not
culture
7
thing
times
into
a week.
Canada.
Like once.
And it's interesting because a lot of the time people kind of go like, "Hey, Canada doesn't really have a unique culture; it's just a watered down American culture."
Yeah, fuck you.
But this kind of proves that actually no, because you know businesses that come up here and try to run the same playbook, the plays don't
doesn't
work.
The whole, like, Canada doesn't have a culture, it's just like an off-brand. Like, that can't possibly be true, because every American that I know that has come up here spends like a week going, this place is so fucking weird!
Yeah.
Well,
Everything's so...
my most ultimate example of that
the
was when I
ketchup
was-
tastes different!
Whereas when I was working at Funcom, working on Age of Conan, and they brought in some American tester from their other office, and he comes in dressed in a black trench coat, and he comes in and he goes, "Do you know where I can buy some guns?" And I go,
Actually?
"Nowhere that I'm aware of." And he's like,
real.
"I'm not even fronting." And I go, "No, nowhere that I'm aware of." He's like, "Well, what about at Kmart?" I'm like, "We don't have Kmart." And he goes, "Well, what about at Walmart?" I'm like, "Well, we have Walmarts, but no." And he goes, "Well, I went to like a convenience store and it was fucking closed." And I was
Wait,
like,
why is this the reason that you need guns?
you know, like as in another thing he was complaining about. I'm like, I went into a mall and it was closed. And I was like, "Well, what time did you go?" It was like 12 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm like, "Well, those are closed then."
closed.
And he goes, "What the fuck is wrong with this country? I'm only here for the money."
Jesus.
Which is weird and different. and that was like 3
Oh my
weeks
God.
before I joined up with IDOS, so I never saw him again.
God.
That guy
that's
was...
special.
I would have loved hanging out with that
When
guy.
do we get the freaking guns?
Where do we get the frickin' guns?
When I go to the States and I go to a store and I see a gun that is pink, I'm just like, oh my god,
It's a fashion
I need
accessory.
that.
this is the worst thing. Like, and I have nothing against someone who wants to get a pink gun. But just the idea that they are marketed to that extent that they would make pink ones.
Hey, get your 12-year-old daughter her first gun.
Moon Prism Buckshot!
Exactly.
Come on, now you're selling me on it.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
not.
right?
It's like
That's really awesome. Scarborough Fair is beautiful.
Yeah.
I am all the way in with that.
Wow, we got real in there.
Yeah.
hey, did you guys
Someone-
know we're from Canada?
Quick, talk about a week.
I played a lot of new 3DS stuff because I have one.
Yes.
You.